I underestimated Naruto. This video isn't something that I had planned to make today. If you guys have been on my channel for a little bit now, you probably have noticed that I'm mainly singing now. And I feel that that's probably the direction I'm going to stick with. But today I was watching Naruto and I felt inclined to just make a video talking about what the series has come to mean to me in recent years. And to start that off, I do want to backtrack and talk about just my experience with Naruto as a series before discussing why it's important to me today. Because it wasn't always important to me. It's not a series that I've always enjoyed. It's one of those series that I had been frustrated with in the past. So to kind of start it off, my intro to Naruto was, I think, back in middle school. And when I was in middle school, I was dealing with a lot of different stuff, but Naruto wasn't a series that hit at the right time for me. And now that I think about it, it may have been early high school when I saw it. I don't quite remember the timeline, to be honest, because it was a long time ago. And I started right when Sasuke left the village, is when I started the show. Like that whole little section where I think it was Naruto, Choji, Shikamaru, I think Ninja, and Shino went to go after Sasuke. So that section is where I started. Like Tsunade had sent them out. That's the section of the show that I saw and all the battles and stuff. And I was captivated by it because of the fights. But the emotional resonance wasn't totally there in the sense of I didn't quite know what was going on. But the conflict between Sasuke and Naruto was really cool to me. And I felt that there was some emotional depth there. So I wanted to see that continue. And then, as most of you know, the rest of Naruto, the first series anyway, was basically just filler for the rest of it. So I kept watching, but it was so much filler. And so I never really got a sense that, the show was going anywhere. And then eventually Shippuden came along. And also, when I was younger, I didn't quite always have, the scheduling down of when to watch anime or when stuff was coming on. So when Shippuden came around, I only caught a few episodes, and I think it was during the early portion where sorcery was involved and the puppets and all that, and I just did not care at the time. I had no interest in any of that. So because I had no interest of any of that, and in my mind it was all filler, and I was like, can we just have another fight between Naruto and Sasuke already? Because in my mind that was the emotional core of everything that was going on at the time. That I was just like, you know what? Naruto isn't really for me. I didn't really understand the hype around Naruto at that time in my life. It didn't hit for me. Even the parts of it that did have emotionally resonant things, even in the filler, it just didn't hit for me. It just wasn't something that I was that impacted by at that time. Because when I was younger, middle school, high school, that was an up season in my life. Well, maybe not middle school, but after middle school, when high school started, high school was an up season for me. College was an up season for me. And so any bit of Naruto didn't really hit simply because it just, I couldn't resonate with it. It wasn't something that I understood at the time. And I didn't catch it from the beginning. And so I didn't have an inkling to go back and try to watch it from the beginning. I didn't care enough. And there were other anime that I enjoyed more, shows like Code Geass and even Bleach, and trying to think of some others off the top of my head. I can't think of any more right now. Mainly those two back then, Code Geass, Bleach, and I think Casshern Sins was one that I really enjoyed back then, especially in my high school, college years. Yeah, so primarily those shows. And there were others, I'm just not thinking of them. I'm drawing a blank because I'm tired. And this is unscripted. I had actually started a script. I literally started writing a script a few minutes ago. And then I was just like, you know what? I can't. I'm just going to speak from the heart because now Naruto means so much more to me as a series. And I think I underestimated it a whole lot. So to give a little background, and I don't know if you guys would actually care about this, but I just want to talk about it anyway. Because it's important to me in this moment, and it's helpful to me in this moment to talk about it. So, a few years ago, and I've mentioned this on the channel before, but back in late 2021, my mom passed away. And then a year later, my dad got remarried. Around the time that my dad got remarried, like about a month later, things weren't going well with that. And I was kind of reeling from everything. And there were a lot of adjustments. And I felt really alone. And I felt undervalued. Felt like I was being rejected on every side by everybody. And because of that, I was not in a good place. I was in a very dark space in my mentality about everything and trying to pretend that it wasn't there, trying to smile through it, trying to act like none of it bothered me. But it did. It did, and it bothered me a lot. And one night, I remember I was alone in the house, and Naruto had kind of popped up in the sense of like the subject had popped up in my life because my stepbrother at the time, had talked about Naruto and how it was a series that he really liked. And then also my cousin, it's one of her favorite shows. So there were two, different voices in my head like that had mentioned Naruto at least. And on this particular night, maybe a few months after they had both talked about it, I decided to watch it. I just decided to watch the first episode on Netflix. I don't know why. To this day, I don't really know what compelled me on this particular night to watch it. I was just extremely sad. I remember I was already like crying before I started the episode. And I guess maybe I started it because, a little bit of nostalgia, like slight nostalgia for the show. Because again, it's not a show that I appreciated. It's not a show that I was really into. I'm not even sure if I really liked it that much. And plus, like, Naruto over the years, especially like during like the 2010s, had kind of been memed to death, and like, it kind of like fallen off the radar, I guess. I don't know. But I watched it on this particular night, and I will tell you plainly now that first episode of Naruto is probably the best first episode of any anime I've ever seen in my life. It captured everything that I was feeling, and I think Naruto is one of those shows that if you haven't really been through turmoil for an extended period of time, it's not going to resonate with you like that. It's just not. It's not one of those shows that can really, like, it can in the sense of it being bombastic and, the hype and just like the excitement of seeing Naruto overcome things. That's great. That's wonderful. Like, it's definitely cathartic. I think even for someone that's like a kid, like that's cathartic because, as a kid, you're underestimated a lot. But, I'm an adult, and I was adult then as well. Like I was, basically my late 20s. I think I was like 29 at the time. And no, actually I think I was 28 at the time when I watched that first episode. And like it just hit. Like that whole early portion of Naruto, especially as I kept watching, because when I watch longer running anime, I kind of watch them in segments, because I don't have the same time to invest into anime that I used to. Like, I can't just sit and binge anime for like a whole day. Like, I got job and bills to pay. Like, ain't nobody got time to be binging anime, for a long extended time, like for days on end. Like, I may be able to every once in a while, mark out a day where I just watch anime a whole day, but it's kind of rare even now. So Naruto is one of those series that like I would watch some, then I drop it for a bit, and then come back to it. And so when things got really rough during 2023 between my dad and my stepmother, that was a dark time. I'm not going to go into any details about that, but that was a dark time where there were moments where I was, fearful of just a lot of different things, fearful of the future, hopeless about the future, hopeless about everything, really. Beyond feeling just dead inside because my mom wasn't here anymore, and that was someone that I had lived for so much of my life. It was a dark time of just feeling rejected over and over again, feeling like, no one really loved me. And that hurt a lot. And even with the people that did love me and did care and wanted to be there, I couldn't accept their love. I couldn't accept, the help that they were giving me, really. I felt in that time that it was almost like I was using them just to feel better about things because that was all I could do. I wasn't capable of really giving love with my full heart, or giving hope or advice or time with my full heart. Like, I was only halfway here through all my relationships, through just everything, because my home life was just so bad. And then even at my job was extremely stressful the first 2 years that I had started it, from like, I think it was July 2022. And it was like that first year of the job, from July 22 to July 23, was just rough. And, you know, that whole year of 2023 was rough, really for emotional reasons, more so than like, I mean, things were bad, but like, it was a time. I said I wasn't going to go into detail about all that, so I'm going to drop it there because, like I said, it was a lot. And Naruto, when I did pick up watching Naruto again, like, sometimes I would watch it by myself. Sometimes I would watch it with my cousin. She would come over with her daughter, and we would watch episodes together and, like, you know, make food and eat sushi and just, you know, have our girl time. And it was fabulous. You know, just watching Naruto and just talking about life. I mean, those were great memories for me just for that on its own. And particularly the Chunin exams, and really the fight between Naruto and Nenji was one that just cemented itself in my mind as like a personal reflection of what I was dealing with my stepmother. That whole situation with her was just a lot. So now, fast forwarding through all of that, in early 2024, my stepmother left. And so, you know, and basically she and my dad filed for divorce, and they're divorced now. And during the course of 2024, a lot of it was about healing from all of that stuff. Because, like I said, it was a lot. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. Again, this is unscripted, so I'm just speaking, you know, from my heart right now. And so it's been a minute since I've actually watched any Naruto. I did watch some with my cousin a few months back. I think it may have been back in May. I actually don't remember, but it was a while back, and we watched some together. And it was right at the part where Naruto's starting to learn the Rasengan, and, you know, he's teaming up with Jiraiya and stuff, and we had watched a few episodes together. And that was the last time I had watched any until today. And today was different in watching Naruto, and today in watching Naruto cemented this idea in my head that even though Naruto is not a perfect series, and even though it has its issues and, you know, has its pacing problems, like, especially I remember the Chunin exams in particular, there was like this whole there was like 10 episodes that went by where Orochimaru and I think Sarutobi, they were like in the same pose where, like, you know, like Sarutobi has, like, you know, the sword going through Orochimaru, or like, no, he was like trying to pull out his soul or whatever, and for like 10 episodes while everything else was going on, and like it would keep flashing back. Like, ridiculous silliness, like, way to zap all the tension out of what's going on with Orochimaru and Sarutobi in that moment, because, like, you knew that Sarutobi was gonna die, but they were just holding it. They were holding that pose, like, the 10 episodes. Like, when I think back on it, it makes me laugh. So, yeah, like, Naruto has its problems, but despite having its problems, when Naruto is great, when it has its moments where it's impactful, it is probably some of the best that anime has to offer, period. And I'm being so sincere and just completely transparent when I say that, because I don't know if I've watched an anime in recent years, aside from like maybe JJK, where I felt, you know, the weight of people's emotions and feelings and the weight of their struggles. Particularly today, I watched this whole mini arc where not only is Naruto learning to perfect the Rasengan, but he's, you know, meeting Tsunade for the first time. And so we get to experience Tsunade's character for the first time. And we actually get to see her character arc. Now, already I know she's going to become the 5th Hokage, because from my childhood, I have some, you know, memories of watching the show in my childhood, and know that Tsunade was already going to eventually be Hokage and all of that stuff. You know, knew that Naruto was going to master the Rasengan. Like, I already knew this stuff. So initially I didn't think that, like, this this whole little mini arc would have much of an impact on me. I was just thinking, I'm gonna watch this today, and it just be, something to take my mind off things, something to kind of help me feel better, because I haven't been feeling my best for the last few days. I've just been a little down. Like, nothing's going wrong in my life or anything like that. I'm actually on an upswing, I think. But I just been kind of sad. And just feeling like, the impact of my decisions, or even things that I do on this channel, just a lot of things, aren't making substantial differences. Feeling like I'm not doing enough. Feeling like I'm not at my best. And I'm really trying and fighting to be at my best. And yet it just feels like I'm not making any progress, So that's kind of like the mindset that I went into going into this batch of episodes. And this batch of episodes kind of dismantled that whole idea that I was just going to like get my mind taken off of things, and rather it felt like I got a mirror pointed at my face to like show me where I was at. Tsunade's kind of arc here is very reflective of like what I was feeling. At least that's how it felt to me today. She had her losses. She had, this inner struggle where, on the outside, she seemed like, this confident woman, and, nothing could get her down. And, she was gonna, like, you get this impression of Tsunade, especially because I had never experienced her story before. I only knew her as, like, the lady that became the 5th Hokage and everything. And, great with, like, the medical ninja stuff. Like, that was more of what was in my head, right? That's what I thought. I had no idea that, she had like a little brother. I had no idea that, she had lost, the man that she loved. I had no concept of any of that going into this batch of episodes. And so seeing how Orochimaru tried to manipulate her through that, and the inner struggle that she had dealing with like this idea of grief, and even the speech that she has to Orochimaru, because she literally did not make up her mind until the last second. And even before that, she had kind of already made a decision that she was going to heal Orochimaru at first. But literally at the last second, she got a grip and changed her mind and realized, that doing so would betray the dreams and the hopes of her brother and the guy that she lost. Like, and that got to me, because oftentimes I feel like, we all have like these inner struggles and these things that we deal with, and it's a lot easier to just give up or just allow ourselves to just go through the motions of life than it is to actually fight for our dreams. And for the last year or so, that's what I had to do to survive, was just go through the motions, not really fight for my dreams, not really try for my dreams. Like, even in the first half of this year, even though, like I said, things are going really well for me right now and I'm really happy. Generally, I'm happy. But I have some frustration still. I'm still trying to heal from things. So I get frustrated at my frustration, in the sense that, like, how can I be happy but still feel so miserable too? Like, it's really weird. It's a really weird juxtaposition there. I'm still trying to figure that out. But, like, I think grief has a lot to do with it, because I'm not just grieving my mom. I'm also grieving my stepmother, in the sense that she's not part of my life anymore. And it's for the best that she's not part of my life like that anymore. Like, it's okay, and I've forgiven her for a lot of things. I've forgiven myself for a lot of things. But it's still hard to keep moving forward when you felt that rejection repeatedly. It's easy to get cynical. Like, I've had a hard time allowing people to show me love and care. Like, it feels embarrassing to me sometimes, primarily because I got so used to rejection. I got so used to having my love be returned with pain, and I kind of gave up a little. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of gave up a little bit, because I got tired of fighting. I got tired of putting in the effort, because it's so hard to put in the effort for people, and then they either turn their back on you, or they don't understand your mentality, will not do the mental backflips for you the way you've done for them. It's extremely difficult to bear that weight and to hold on to that, and to try your best to move past it, to forgive, to still be the person that you are in spite of all those things. And Naruto, he has a lot of these same issues of like resentment, of being underestimated, of being treated as less than. And he's constantly having to prove to people that he's worth something, that his dreams are worth something. And seeing the progression of how he eventually proves that to Tsunade is beautiful, primarily because it's not really something that Naruto is having to learn here. He's not the one that's really learning the lesson. Even though he's trying to perfect the Rasengan, it's kind of like that philosophy that we see like in Dragon Ball, you know, with the Super Saiyan transformation. He doesn't actually perfect the Rasengan until he needs to. Like, the power didn't come to him because he wanted it to be there. It came because he needed it at that moment, not just to prove something to Tsunade, but to protect her, you know, to push forward, you know, to continue that fight for his dream. Because Kabuto was laying it on thick, being like, your dreams ain't worth nothing. No one's dreams are worth anything. There's no point in fighting for these dreams. No point in fighting for anything if you're dead. And that's all that's going to happen. If you keep fighting, you should run away. Like, all these different things. And Tsunade in her head is, you know, in a sense trying to run. She has this, you know, fear inside of her, you know, because she has all this trauma from losing her brother, from losing the man that she loved. You know, this whole issue of like Hokage anything to begin with, because those were their dreams and it wasn't necessarily something that she wanted, but now it's being presented to her and, you know, it's not really, it's just, it felt so poignant. It felt so poignant, and I wish I could express it in a more eloquent way. But, you know, when I go off script like this, I tend to lose my train of thought sometimes. But essentially, I just feel like her actually getting to see the determination and see Naruto perfect the Rasengan was just a beautiful, like, it was just a beautiful sequence of events. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing how Naruto's determination encouraged and inspired her. And she's like this 50-year-old lady, you know? And that kind of gave me hope, because like I'm in my early 30s, and you know, most of us that are in our early 30s, we're all thinking stuff like, oh, I'm not where I thought I was supposed to be at this point in my life, and I'm not here, or I'm, you know, failing in this area. Like, I feel like all of us in our early 30s, we're being super hard on ourselves, and we don't need to be. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be these things that society tells us, or be these things that we think we should be, you know, but life happens, you know? Grief is a thing. Losses are a thing. And, you know, you gotta fight that. You know, like, the main thing is, like, if you're still here and you're showing up every day to just keep fighting, that's the main thing. Like, Tsunade had been at that point where she had kind of given up. Like, not entirely, but when presented with this idea of bringing her loved ones back, she was ready to sacrifice everything. You know, ready to even sacrifice the village, you know, her morality, her very soul if need be. Like, she did not care because she wanted them back so badly. And I get that. Because when you lose people that are special to you like that, that loved you and cared about you and wanted to be there for you, and you see these, like, you see it all fall apart, it's hard to come back from that. It is extremely difficult to come back from that. And so, like, you know, you have this kid who repeatedly has to prove himself because from his childhood, always been alone, has always had to prove himself. Even now, despite overcoming so much, despite learning so much, he's still underestimated, still counted as less than. And yet he continuously proves that his dreams are not only valuable, but possible, because he believes in them. Because sometimes other people aren't going to believe in you. I had to learn that the hard way. Sometimes other people are not going to believe in you. Even the people that are closest to you, even the people that are supposed to love you the most. Sometimes they're not going to believe in the vision that you see for your life and your future. And in my life, I have to trust God to get me there, but I also have to still show up and put in the work. You know, and I had kind of given up in the sense of, oh, well, I guess I'll just lean on God and just not worry about the rest, and we'll just see where things go. What else am I going to do? You know, giving up in the sense of I wasn't going to try. Now, I feel differently. I feel like when the opportunity presents itself, when God presents certain opportunities for me now, I still need to put in the work. I still need to take them. It is still important for me to put in the effort because I think I had gotten tired of putting in the effort. I had gotten so burnt out just from my own emotions, just from trying so desperately to heal, trying to force the process of healing, trying to force the process of being where I want to be instead of accepting where I'm at. And I think that's a problem for a lot of us. We have issues accepting where we're at right now, issues with accepting not just who we are, but, what we struggle with, the dark sides of our personalities. Sometimes you have to embrace those things in order to overcome those things. You don't have to hate parts of yourself or discard parts of yourself to be accepted by other people. Because once you start doing that, you're no longer yourself. You're no longer showing any type of love for your own self. And there has to be balance in life. It can't just be, sacrificing for others all the time, and it can't just be about yourself all the time. There has to be balance in between those things. But for so many of us, we think it's all or nothing. And I guess that's why, watching Naruto today felt cathartic for me in that it's not that it's all or nothing all the time, but you still have to show up every day and give your best, whatever your best is for that day. Because Naruto did not learn Rasengan overnight. He had promised that it would take a week. It took him exactly a week. It took him a week. Actually, he was like, it's going to take me 3 days. And luckily, Tsunade gave him a week because 3 days was not going to cut it. Like, sometimes we overestimate our own abilities, and sometimes Naruto does that. But at the same time, when it really matters and when it counts, he'll still show up and do what needs to be done. And I do appreciate that aspect of this show and of his character in particular, because he just keeps trying. He just keeps doing his best. Even if he can't fulfill all the promises that he makes right away, he will still always try. And for so many of us, that's half the battle, is just working up the nerve to try. So I don't know if this little musing about Naruto would be helpful to anybody. I don't know if me expressing what I've felt and what I've gone through and how I'm steadily overcoming that, but still have these little hang-ups and, dark days or just dark moments where I feel like I can't believe anymore, would be helpful to anyone out there. I don't know that with any certainty. But one thing that I do know that I have to keep doing is that I just have to keep trying. And that's one thing that I definitely appreciate Naruto for, the series, the character. I appreciate that in particular because I was the one in need of an aha moment. I was the one in need of understanding that I have my weaknesses. I have, a lot of things to still overcome. I still have a lot of healing to do, but I can overcome it. It is not something that will hold me down forever. And if I continue to do my best, if I continue to trust God, and I continue to live out the path that He has marked for me, and continue to do His will in my life, then things will work out, and the dreams that I have will come true. But I do have to still fight for them because there is an enemy out there. The devil is like fighting fiercely against so many of us. Many of us don't even see it. Many of us aren't even cognizant of it. But he fighting you every day. Anytime you're struggling, anytime you feel like you'll never get through, or feeling like, you should just give up on yourself or give up on people because of the state of the world or because of anything else going on, every day. It's a fight every day. And a lot of people don't know how to fight. They don't know how. They don't know how to fight against that. They try, we'll constantly talk about going to therapy. We'll do all these different things trying to, fill an empty space in our lives. I'll tell you right now, and whether people agree with me or not, I don't care. God is the source. You want to figure things out, you want to get to a better place in life, choose God. Because I will tell you plainly, I would not be here today if I didn't choose God. If I didn't get up and choose God every day. I would have gave up a long time ago. And so Naruto had his ninja way of always keeping his word. Now, I'm not a character in this show, but like a personal philosophy for me now, moving forward, my quote unquote ninja way, carry on and trust God. Believe in God. Fight for God. Regardless of what the world says, I'm a Christian first. I'm not concerned about popularity. I'm not concerned about whether people believe me when I say these things. I'm just not concerned. My main thing is just to say that this is what got me through. This is what helped me survive. This is what helps me to continue fighting. And that we all should continue fighting, to do our best, to be the things that we need to be, not only for ourselves, but for each other. Because there's such a lack of kindness in this world, but there's also a lack of conviction, like of real, true conviction for the things that we believe in, because we get scared of persecution, get scared of being canceled. We get scared of all these different things from people that we don't even know, who don't know us, who don't know our struggle. Why? What's the point in that? If you have a dream, if you have things that you're fighting for, things that you want to stand for, do that. Don't let the world beat you down. And even if it does beat you down, you get back up. You get back up every day. And believe me, I know it's hard. Trust me, I get it. I've been suicidal before, I get it. It is hard sometimes. It's a daily fight sometimes just to get out of your own head. I know. But the more that you keep at it, the more that you set goals for yourself, the more that you trust that everything will be okay eventually, even if things are hard right now, the better you feel, the more hope you feel. And on the other side of it, you'll be happier. Even if you still have bad days sometimes, you will feel a lot better. You will have more joy. You'll have more peace. And I know it because I'm living it. Like, even though I've been having, a tough few days, it's really just because of emotional stuff and just, some doubts that crept up in my own head. But I don't feel that now, because at the right time I got the inspiration that I needed. I don't consider that a coincidence, because I haven't watched Naruto in months. And then today I just randomly decided to watch it. I just, got the inkling in my head, maybe I'll just watch Naruto today. And this is where we're at. I'm making this video. Maybe there's someone out there that needs the words that I'm saying. And here we are. I don't know. But what I do know is, if you're out there, if you're struggling, don't give up. Keep fighting. And just thank you for listening to me for this long. I know I rambled for a bit and probably didn't talk as much about like the actual show like I wanted to, because again, I had started a script and was going to talk more about like the actual content that made me feel this way, but just the whole progression of watching, Tsunade's journey through these episodes, and how by the end of it, she fought tooth and nail to protect Naruto because he inspired her and helped her to see the value in the dreams that her brother and the guy that she loved had. Like, she saw the value in that, and, and just, it was perfect. That's all I can say. Like, when Naruto gets it right, it gets it absolutely right. So I need to make a correction on a video that I made many, many years ago. It was like an anime ranking video of stuff. I had ranked all the anime shows I had seen. I need to make a correction, because back then, I had kind of like put Naruto in E tier. Not because I disliked the show, but it was more like I put it in E tier because, one, I hadn't seen a lot of the show, and also because there was so much filler, I was like, oh, I'm not interested. No. But now, S tier. It is one of the best anime out there. Like, with all its flaws, with all the crazy filler, with all the silliness and ridiculousness that can be in the show sometimes. It is one of the best anime out there. I love this show. It's I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites yet, but as we continue, I feel like it's going to become that. And I definitely encourage anyone that didn't watch Naruto in childhood to watch it now. I think it's actually more impactful for an adult to watch this after they've been through things than the children out there. I'm just gonna say it. Like, You know, I imagine that it was still impactful, you know, for any of the kids out there that watched it growing up that, you know, were dealing with things like immediately at that time or felt those things. But I tell you, as an adult, it just hits different. Like everything hits different. Because sometimes it's the stories of our childhood that we need most in our adulthood. And Naruto wasn't even a big part of my childhood, really. Like I said, I saw episodes here and there. Like, and I did like the show, but it just wasn't a major part of like my anime journey. I liked it, but I wasn't like a big fan and had no real interest in like seeing all the show. Like, I know a good portion of the spoilers already, and like, you know, because I didn't really care. And now it's like I'm experiencing the show little by little for the first time, you know, myself, and really actually seeing how different things came together. You know, seeing the character arcs of different characters that I didn't even know got character arcs in the show. I had no idea Tsunade had this much depth, honey. I had no idea. But anywho, I think that is enough rambling for me at this time. And I do apologize, you know, for some of the stuttering and ramblingness of this video. Because again, unscripted. Because once I started the script, I was like, you know what, I can't really script anything anymore. I'm just like, we're just going to speak from the heart and hope for the best. So, and I probably won't deviate from my usual content of like singing right now, or who knows. I don't know. I didn't even know this was happening today. So don't listen to me when it comes to that, because I don't know. But anywho, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope that in some way this video could be inspiring for at least one person that really needed these words. So keep doing your best out there. I love you all. God bless you all. Mwah!